Hello everybody, it's MrAeroHD here and bringing you some Forza 6 demo gameplay because I was not one of the filthy few that was chosen to get one of the early copies. If you guys disagree with that, go ahead and send Turn10 a Twitter message. But anyway, this isn't what this video is about. I am here to address my first impressions. Again, I don't have the full game, but I'm here to address my first impressions of my feelings and opinions of Forza 6. Because again, I have had a little bit of time with it. Again, the demo, I've kind of, done everything there is to do. I've driven all the cars in the game, or in the demo, sorry. I have to keep explaining that. But, yeah, so I've driven in the night, I've driven in the wet, I've done a lot of sliding around, so yeah, how does it feel compared to Forza 5? Well, apparently I'm the asshole that didn't like Forza 5, even though, nobody liked Forza 5 when it came out. But I didn't like the physics that much as per drifting. For racing, it was fine, great even, but for drifting, the weight transfer just didn't feel right. There wasn't enough information being communicated as to where the weight was, and it was very overly... The weight snapped a lot, no matter what I was driving. So I mean, it could be tuned and worked around, but there was no good tracks. There was no good any reason for me personally to want to stay and focus on developing cars for that game. So I didn't really give Forza 5 too much attention. I had a couple of breakthroughs here and there, but for the most part, I just kind of took that as a wash and had my fingers crossed for Forza 6. Now here comes the news. I've done some Corvette drifting in the wet at Sebring. That video should be up. Should have went up at some point today. Yesterday I posted a video of me drifting the Ferrari at Yas Marina. And that should have been, if you haven't seen that video, I do suggest going to check it out. But that video basically summarizes my opinions on the physics engine in this game without having to say anything. Yas Marina was my least favorite track in Forza 5 for drifting, and I mean the layout. It had multiple layouts, and there was a good complex of corners for every layout, and it seemed like it'd be fun, but the curbs were death. You couldn't really so much as breathe on a curb, or you'd die, or in tighter twisty stuff, the car would just snap and spin out. And that's not something like a Ferrari. That's something like a 240 or an RX-7, something that's very, should be easy and not that much of a challenge. So coming into this game, I was kind of scared, especially when I saw it was only a Scuderia. But I am happy to report that at least in the demo, all is well. You can really see the weight transfer and where the weight is in the car a little bit more on the model, and you can feel it much more like you could in Forza 4. They kind of dumbed down that snappiness a little bit. It's still there, but it's not so unpredictable and so random. Most 9 times out of 10 when the car is going to snap, I can feel it coming and kind of adjust for that. And again, this is in a mid-engine Ferrari that is absolutely not made to drift at all. So when I get my hands on something like, a Mustang or a Skyline or something, this might be not even noticeable. But the only things I've been able to drift so far is a 2017 Ford GT, the Corvette C7 Z06 in the wet. I believe this is Z06 in the wet, and then this Ferrari, which I'm having the easiest time with. Oh, and the GT86 and the RX-7, but they were both stock, so that was kind of not really a good comparison. When you're just power sliding through a corner, it felt good in Forza 5 when I was initially had the BRZ or the whatever it was. when I was going through the corner, it felt fine. And then once you tune it up and add power to it and make it into a drift car, that's when everything was a little bit disappointing, in my opinion. But at least with the Ferrari, I chained a couple of corners together. Mid-engine car, something that is supposed to be difficult, felt a lot more smooth and a lot more progressive and a lot more predictable than I expected, which is really good. The game looks fantastic. I don't think I really need to go into much detail for that. Forza's been killing it. Their tire sounds, the tire sounds, like when you're spinning your tires, have not changed since Forza 5, which is a little bit irritating because that sound kind of got under my skin. But the other tire sounds seem to be improved. The smoke is on another level in terms of comparing it to Forza 5. There's more of it, and it's a lot smoother. It reminds me of the smoke in Forza Horizon 2, which is, a really high compliment. Really looking forward to getting my hands on the full version of this game. There's a lot of good tracks in here now. I mean, there's still a lot of things that I think are missing. But we have Lime Rock. Lime Rock's first complex of corners are going to be super fun. Now that Yas Marina isn't, a death trap in disguise, there's a lot of places where you can get sideways in Yas Marina. Sebring. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, unless I think of something else, is the drifting in the wet. Drifting at night, I can't really say I feel a difference, mostly because I haven't been able to drive on a track with the same car in the day and in the night. If anything, it might be a little bit slippier, but I'm not sure if that's just a placebo effect or not. Me just thinking that it's not as grippy. In the wet, again, same thing. I haven't really done a back-to-back comparison with a car that matters. I've done it in the RX-7 and in the GT86 and stuff. What I can say is it feels like it's like Forza 4. It doesn't feel like it's Forza 4, but just hear me out. It feels like Forza 4 when you could change the grip levels, like the grip overrides, and it's about minus 5 to 10% grip. It's not like driving on ice, but there's definitely a little bit less grip there all around. The real big difference is the standing water. The standing water will kill you every single time. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I thought it was more for visual purposes. The first time I drove the demo, I was driving on Sebring, and if you get too close to the pit lane wall, you will hit a puddle, and the puddle will suck you into the wall. And I did that on my first lap in 12th place and collected the whole field with me. Unfortunately, that video has disappeared, so you're never going to see that unless I recreate it, but what's the fun in that? But I really like to test when the full game comes out. Test a car on the dry, on the night, and on the wet, just to see what the huge differences are. But again, what I can feel so far is that it's a little bit less grippy, but the standing water is really what's going to get you, especially if you're sideways. It's basically like you're on ice. You just, for the duration of that puddle, you're along for the ride. You can't really do anything. But after the puddle, you can you get a little bit of time to gather yourself. But it's really, really cool. Maybe not all the way there yet, but I don't know if I'm just had too high of expectations, because it is a really cool feature that I'm really glad they added in. But and Rio, as for the track, I was very skeptical because of what I saw in trailers and other forms of pre-release media. It looked very lazy. It didn't look very fun. But Rio is definitely a really fun track. It kind of reminds me as a mix of the best parts of Prague and Long Beach, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I know I just saw a video put up by Fail Race today on one of the short circuits on Rio, and that looks like a lot of fun. It looks like the closest thing we have to Toge minus the Nürburgring. But yeah, short story is that, the physics feel great. If you liked Forza 5, this is a bit more tame, I guess is the word that you would use. I'd say, at least on controller, it feels a little bit more optimized, is what I would go with. Again, I've never played 5 or 6 on a wheel, so I'm not entirely sure. But you know, on a controller, it's leaps and bounds better. If you are still feeling a little bit of a little bit strange in the way it's responding, I was told this by Gunner, actually Gunner4568, a friend of mine, pops into the streams all the time. But if you change your controller steering dead zone axis, the first one that's set to 25, you bump that down to about 10 or 5, or at least just toy with it. For me, it made drifting at least feel 100 times better. I didn't like it so much for racing, but for drifting, it was a lot better. But yeah, if you guys have an Xbox One, you know, bite the bullet, go ahead and download the demo and see for yourself. You know, I was skeptical because I've been heartbroken by Forza, you know, one too many times. But honestly, I just can't wait to get my hands on the full game and do a full review. I'm gonna do as I've always done and be very truthful, but I don't see the physics, the graphics, the sounds, the car models, the track models. The car count is fantastic, and there's a lot of really unique race cars in there. I'd like to see a little bit more street cars, but I know that when it comes to people buying the game, I may have an unpopular opinion. But I mean, they fixed a lot, and then I'm really excited to get my hands on this league thing. I'm really interested to see what that is. I'm kind of disappointed they're missing some features from the game, but you know, overall, on the whole, I think they did a really good job. And I just, as a first impression, again, I haven't touched the full game yet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Turn10 Studios / Forza Motorsport on Twitter. You know, I'm just really, really excited to be able to get the full game, and hopefully everything goes as well as the demo. So thanks very much, guys. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more Forza 6 content, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I also have a Facebook and a Twitter. For those links, be sure to check out the description box below.